And I just have a couple of comments and a few questions. First, regarding 1162, the community programs that are to combat the gun violence. I worked with Amanda Brown in Bridgeport with a credible messenger program, and I heard great stories. She told me about a lot of success that was had in California, and it definitely works. It definitely helps. Chief, you mentioned the best way of doing recruitment is our police officers being in the community, talking about how great of a job it is, how rewarding it is, and bringing people into the profession. And that's a very similar segue into that credible messenger program. And I think it's so important. When we were talking about this, you started to talk about a few stats or statistics when it comes to the gun violence in New Haven. How many shootings were there compared to murders? Can you break down those numbers? I was taking notes and I want to make sure I got it correctly.
So in 2022, we had 14 homicides and 107 non-fatal shootings.
And then what about with the shots, detecting the shots with the shot?
300 and it was either 380 to 400, I think 389 or something like that. But that's gunshot incidents. Now, if one incident might have had 20 rounds fired, that's a lot different than one shot fired, right? But it could go up to if you counted individual shots, it could go up as high as close to 3,000, right? But
got it. But those are separate incidents.
Yeah.
Where there could have been numerous shots back and forth or one gun, et cetera. So it's one a day essentially. And is that up from the year prior?
No, it's down from the year prior.
Very good. Okay. And would you say from 5 years ago, is that up or down?
It's up from 5 years ago. So 2013 to 2019, we saw a huge decrease. We actually doing these type of programs, Project Longevity, Project Safe Neighborhoods, working with CTVIP, we averaged 65 non-fatal shootings and 11 homicides. Now 2021, 2020, 2021 really went high. 2021, we had 26 murders and 112 non-fatal shootings. So you saw a spike 2020, 2021. We've been able to somewhat get it under control and get down again in 2022.
And what do you think contributes to getting it down? Or you think it's more of a, as you said, from 13 to 19, you take a chunk of years and get an average, say from 21 to 23 or 20 to 22. Would you say there's one thing that was able to bring this down? Or is it just kind of a...
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. So during the COVID years, there was no public interaction. There was no trials going on. So you'd arrest someone for a gun or a shooting. They might be able to get out on bond and they were back out. We actually thought due to the pandemic, the violence would go down. It actually went up, right? So now we're in a position where we're able to do this face-to-face contact. We're able to go do custom notifications. The other thing we do is call in. We call everybody in, about 30 or 40 people in, and we give them a message. And the message is, we want you safe, alive, and out of jail. But if you pick up a gun, we got the full force of the ATF, the DEA, the FBI, New Haven PD. We're gonna put you back in jail. We don't want to do that. So a lot of the messaging stopped during COVID. We also had a tough time with the murder of George Floyd and the perception towards police. And I'm going to be deadly honest. Police proactivity slowed down even after that, right? We saw large protests in the city. I'm very proud of this city. We saw no cars burned, no destruction at all, just large protests. And I think that's the relationships we built with the people on the side of me here and the rest of the community through community policing. The other thing we're doing different in 2022 is we don't have enough numbers for it, but we have walking beats. The community asks for walking beats. We're doing it. We're figuring it out and we're doing it. And that type of face-to-face interaction and people getting to know their cops in their neighborhood, that's working again. It's just, we need more cops to do it, right? So that falls back on the retention and recruitment end. But no, I would say those are some of the key factors.
And so when you talk about the shooting and you have the ATF, or you have shooting task force, I know a couple of officers that are on some of the task forces within the department. And I also kind of see the other end. We do some criminal defense work in my business as an investigator. We support attorneys often doing a lot of criminal defense stuff. We get a lot of cases out of New Haven. So I kind of see both ends of the situation. And it's quite alarming to see how often this is happening and how young these kids are that are getting in these shootings. You know, when we talk about the gun violence and basically a shooting every day, and in 2022, there was 14 deaths, 107 people shot. Do you have any idea how many of those weapons or crimes that are being committed are being done with illegal gun owners or someone with legal possession of a firearm? Do you have any numbers that are broken down?
Yeah, I don't have them in front of me. I did have them. I can't get to that, but I would say the majority is people illegally possessing a weapon, right? Whether they be someone underage who can't possess a weapon, it's a stolen weapon, it's a ghost gun, it's a convicted felon with a gun. I would say the majority, 90+%, are the people are possessing the weapons illegally.
Okay. And I thought that was my thought. From 2020 to maybe 23, where we are now, do you think there's a lot of repeat offenders of these shootings? As we said, sometimes people were getting out. Are we seeing a lot of repeat offenders?
Yeah, that's what I reported to the, I think it was the Public Safety Board on Monday when we talked about the repeat offender bill. We see most of our people that have either been shot or involved in shootings at a 40+% have prior gun convictions, prior shootings, let out by manslaughter. The data shows that it is a small number of people, but they're repeat offenders.
You said let out on manslaughter, so there's individuals that would get let out after being.
Well, for example, the kid was shot somebody and killed him. They, in turn, stated that the guy had a gun. And I think in this situation, it was like a plastic gun. So he shot the guy in self-defense. He ended up being charged with manslaughter second. He did 2 years. He got out. We just had a armed standoff with him Sunday. He had another 2 guns and was in his house threatening to kill his girlfriend. I mean, after doing 2 years on a manslaughter second. So there's some things that slipped through the cracks here that on Monday, that's what I was testifying for.
Got it. Okay. I just wanted to clarify it when I heard those numbers. That's something that's just alarming. You mentioned that you had a lot of your residents calling for a walking beat. They want the police in the communities. What are they saying? The individuals that are in these communities when this is happening over and over again, what are they saying about this? The fact that they probably know these kids are in the neighborhood. What are they saying about what I just heard you just say?
So the majority of the community, since it's such a small number that commit crimes, are good people that want the police there. But you know what they want? They want police that they know. Once they get to know the police have a walking beat. They know when this guy shows up, it's John the cop who walks in New Hallville. That's the type of policing they want. And that's what we're trying to offer here in New Haven. But they do want the police in those neighborhoods. And then as we build the trust, if you notice, we've solved quite a few of the homicides from last year and this year. Coming into this year, we're about to make a few more arrests. And that's based on trust. We've been building that trust back up, and it's incidents like the murder of George Floyd, the incident in Memphis. But listen, we had our own incident in New Haven, right? So we have to build that trust back up, move forward, and we are getting more community help. And that's one thing I'm proud of from our officers too.
Absolutely. And I do hear a lot of good, and I know that there are incidents and they happen. As we said, majority of these shootings are done by a small group. And there are things that happen with, the police departments that may tarnish the relationship between the community and law enforcement. But the vast majority is great interactions from what I've seen and heard from friends and family that live in New Haven on Ferry Street. And overwhelmingly, I hear a lot of positive about the relationship between the law enforcement and those good citizens that want the police in that area. I hear a lot of that. So I just wanted to let you know and just thank you for what you guys do. Keep up the good work and stay safe. And hopefully we could address some of these concerns. And I do think that the programs like Credible Messenger and all the great work that Leon and Kate do, and so many others like Amanda Brown, I think there's work to be done, and I think that's a great step in the right direction. Look forward to see what comes out of 1162 and see if we could address some of these issues that are really affecting our cities. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you
for answering my questions.
Thank you, Senator. I